So poets are often asked what their writing process is. And an earlier video snippet, I told you about how I keep my poems organized. Keeping things organized and tracks of things are something that I'm taught in blind classes to adapt to blindness. And also one of my last jobs was as clinical research trials professional nurse, and we had to be so exact and so precise in keeping our files organized. So mechanically, that's how I do it. A couple of summers, well, several summers, I told you about the Richland Summer Challenge, so I pretended I was going to poetry camp. And in the morning, I would write. I had, fortunately, I'm retired, so I could do that. I would write in the morning in the living room doing certain things, and then I would break for lunch, have a snack, and then after lunch, I would go to the back porch, and I would read poetry and critique poetry. So I just framed it as I'm going to poetry camp. That's one way is how I write. Another is capturing and filing, like I told you, turns of phrases that just catch your eye, or beautiful things that you've written. I will speak into my phone and say, make a note about whatever it was, and then I'll transcribe that. So I have those to go by. I have a running list of poetry subjects. It's almost infinite. I have to prioritize which ones I want to do. And the short form in writing, in a short, like Japanese form, or 4-line poem, or even a 1-line poem, or even an 8-line poem, or a 10-line poem. The short ones are not always easiest to write, but it's something I can lay the poem into and then begin to check things off. Right now I'm doing a series on growing up at that camp, and there's a series of we were around horses a lot, and there's a series of horse poems that I wanted to capture that were distinguishing in our family history. And there's one about our meeting John Nance Garner. That's part of that series. He was born in 1868, and we met him when he was 95. And to think about 1868. So, and then another thing I thought of when our grandchildren were coming, I thought, how many descendants has she evolved from? How many descendants? So I started counting back through our generation, and before you know it, you have 1,000 parents. Within probably 5, you go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 5, you go on like that, and then suddenly you're at 528, then you're at 1,000, then 2,000. In 40 generations, you can get 1 billion parents. It's that many. But I wrote a poem about my great-grandmother being born on the prairie, and because our little granddaughters and grandson, they're going to be grandparents, we're hopeful, one day. I was a little girl. I was an infant once upon a time. So that's a source. I also hike a lot, and I did the Ultimate Outsiders program. We visited all 47 state parks with 3 other friends who are nature photographers. So when you're out in the woods, that's very easy. And we see some pretty funny things out there too. Kind of bizarre things, as well as beautiful things, the sounds. I did visit Helen Keller's home in Alabama, and then I also visited Flannery O'Connor's home in Milledgeville, Georgia. And so reading Flannery O'Connor, she has very much surprise Gothic endings. So I guess I'm writing in her style. I like a surprise ending. I don't want the reader to feel complacent. I don't want to feel complacent. And so when there are odd things that happen, I write those down. I get poetry ideas from podcasts, from radio, news. I get them from news, so I just keep a running list of poems that seem interesting. The end.